the world is burning. Another episode. Today we are looking at the energy price increase that will be coming in. This is mainly focusing on the UK today. I haven't seen any of these videos. We're seeing them all together for the first time. There is an energy price that is coming next year in the UK. I'm sure everywhere around the world it's going to be the same as well. So let's jump straight into it. Let's watch a few of these. I'll give some commentary. Hopefully we'll get some nice tips out of this. And leave me some comments. I love to see the comments. We're getting some good comments on the other videos. I want to know what your energy bills used to be, what you thought was reasonable, who you with, and where they're currently at right now. Drop us a comment. Let's get into it.
What a fucking surprise. The energy cap has just been increased. Funny how that wasn't mentioned yesterday during the budget. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it early here. The government always the sheep. The sheep. They want to just let people figure this stuff out on their own. They're really not forthcoming with this stuff. We've all been getting emails through from our energy providers. It's not come from the government saying this. They left it out of the budget. Yeah, agree with this guy.
the government have given us a few quid extra through national insurance savings and pay rises for those on the minimum wage. Ofgem or Ofcom, whoever it is that look after the energy, they have managed to just increase the price cap by 5%. So for every £100 a month you've been paying, from next year it's going to go up to £105. So if you've got a bill of £200 or £250, it's going up by £10 if 200, £12.50 every single month. So already eroding the national insurance changes, the minimum wage changes.
Yeah, and they give with one hand and take away with the other. Yeah, they have slightly increased things, but if all your bills are going up 5% minimum, what is a few extra pound that they give you? It just doesn't add up. You're still worse off.
And just really giving with one hand, taking out with the other. The worst thing is that money's not going to the government now. It's now going to the energy suppliers. The same energy suppliers and providers that have been posting record profits for the past 12 months, 18 months. Wholesale prices apparently have gone up, but their profits don't seem to make any difference whatsoever. It's a bit of a piss take, and I can't say I'm surprised, but let me know what you think. Like, what sort of impact is that going to have?
Yeah, and I hear things like this from people. Would you like the government to be subsidising your energy? That's being supplied by the private companies then. She's completely missing the point here. It's not the fact that we need the governments subsidising it. We need them to charge less because, like this guy said, marking the money. Shout out Mark here. They are having record profits every single year. When everyone's struggling, you can't be doing that. You need to take a hit. They've already caused enough problems. They can't be profiting at the same time. So yeah, she needs to sort herself out. And anyone who has this view, it's not that we want the. I'm a libertarian at heart. I want less government in every facet of my life. I don't want them subsidising everything, but I also want the free market and the private companies to actually be decent for once and not just make record profits.
Remember when they said that energy is going to increase by 54% this year? Well, for me, it isn't. So this is my current tariff that I'm currently paying. As you can see, electricity 16.452 per kilowatts and then 16.23 per day. And then gas 12.64 per day and then about 3p per kilowatts for my gas tariff. And then you can see this is a tariff that they want to put me on. So basically double for electricity, double for gas, same with the standing charge for electricity and gas, which is just crazy. Well, what can we do to save money, eh? Firstly, there's a council tax rebate scheme for households in council tax bands A to D will get £150. And the idea is that it's going to get paid from this April. Secondly, there's this £200 discount that we're going to get. But the problem is that we're going to have to pay this back over 5 years. So we're going to have to pay back £40 over 5 years. And I don't think there's any way to get out of this. To be fair, this option I don't really like. It's like basically kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's good that the government are helping people, but it's kind of like the way the Americans do quantitative easing and just print the way out of any issues. that also comes back to bite you in the ass. All of our Western governments aren't in a good financial position themselves. So it's really kicking, even if they were to give everyone, like they did last year, they gave everyone some money towards their energy bills, that still comes back and bites us in the ass. We need the actual companies to lower the prices a bit and take a hit on the profits, or maybe do a windfall tax on those companies.
Thinking about getting cash back, but as you can see, none of the competitors are offering any really good deals. To be honest, it's actually even more expensive than the deal that I'm getting from my current provider. So just gonna have to stick with them. Right now, it's very important to make sure that you have a budget and cut back on spending in areas that you don't really need to. It's gotta be a cold winter this year. Stay savvy.
Yeah, never heard of this guy Savvy Wallet before, but yeah, give this guy a follow. He's spitting straight facts. He's right. This isn't the winter for lavish spending or anything like that. This is kind of when we have to all take a step back and really work on that savings, really.
Get ready for another rise in energy bills from January. Yep, right after the expense of Christmas. Ofgem, the industry regulator, is on the verge of announcing a significant hike in the energy price cap. You can expect electricity prices to jump to 28.94 per unit and gas to 7.42 per unit. Now, this price surge translates to an average household bill climbing from £1,834 to £1,931 annually, an extra £100 a year. Cornwall Insight, an energy consultancy, attributes this increase to an unstable wholesale energy market and the UK's heavy dependence on imported energy. But the bad financial news doesn't end there, because starting in April, you can prepare for the standing charge to climb by an additional 8p daily. And I wonder, is Ofgem doing what it's supposed to be doing? Why is the UK so dependent on the rest of the world for this absolute key resource? Let me know.
Yeah, Graham spitting facts as well. Also, guys, just be prepared. It's not just your energy bills that are going up. It's everything goes up every year in the UK. You're gonna get your mobile phone. They'll be adding an extra bit on your internet, council tax. I honestly, I think there might even be a revolt at some point because there's only so far you can push everyone before they're like, I just can't afford this anymore. So yeah, pay attention to all your bills, people. I don't want you getting ripped off.
Attention UK bill payers, have you heard the news yesterday about energy prices going up? Yes, the new 5% price cap.
I don't want to beat it to death. Yeah, it's going up 5%, so we'll skip this one.
The International Monetary Fund has warned this morning that the war between Israel and Hamas could cause global energy prices to rise again.
That the conflict between Israel and Gaza is an economic risk, not least in the sense that it has the potential to disrupt the supply and the production of oil across the Middle East.
International Monetary Fund.
Yeah, guys, whenever anything big happens in the world, there's so many ripple effects that happen from that. Yeah, same with the Ukraine-Russia war. There's a lot of effects that we're feeling from that in our pockets that you don't actually think of when we get into these wars. Yeah, we need to stop getting in wars, guys. Yeah, that sums it up really. They paid us a bit of money last year, the government, a bit of it, like I think it was £400 to sort of cover some increased expenses. We're not getting that this year. Like I said a bit earlier, not necessarily, even though they're helping us in the short term, there is long-term ramifications of the government just printing money and handing out money willy-nilly.
Ofgem announced that the new energy price cap from January 2023 will be £4,279 a year.
I don't even want to see that again. It just makes me sick every time I see it.
We've had some pretty horrible price increases over the last couple of months around most of the eastern states in Australia. So we're just going to have a quick look at what's causing that at the moment. Firstly, it started last year. So the war in Eastern Europe led to greater demand for energy from other sources than certain countries were getting it from previously. That meant that a lot of the gas producers in Australia were able to sell gas by putting it on a ship, sending it over to other countries at a better price than they could sell it to customers here in Australia. So that meant that there was a shortage of gas. There was also a shortage of coal due to some coal supply issues, as well as some issues at some of the old coal power stations that aren't very reliable or aren't as reliable as they used to be. So you put all that together, as well as the long delay in getting renewables into the system that's caused by a lot of restrictions around the planning process, it led to concerns over whether there would be enough supply in the short and medium term to meet the needs of customers. And that naturally led to prices in the market really increasing. We're seeing the flow-on effect from that now because retailers tend to buy energy a reasonable way in advance of when customers need it, so that customers aren't exposed to wild swings in the price that could be up to some crazy price like $15 a kilowatt hour. So we buy well in advance so that that doesn't happen. So what needs...
Yeah, I don't know much about Australia. I've heard they're going through it as well, a bit like Canada. I'm going to do some specific Australia videos as well down the line. I mean, I primarily focus on the UK and America because that's kind of where I'm attached the most to. But yeah, it sounds like everyone's getting shafted right now. I think Antonio sums it up quite nicely. Oh, that must be old. The Prime Minister Liz Truss, she was only in for a week and she's been gone a while. I'm not watching that one.
Did you know AGL recorded an $860 million profit in 2022?
And this is what I'm saying, guys. Don't be telling me that you have to charge your customers more when you're racking in these level of profits. It is absurd when they say, oh, the energy companies have to do it because everything's become more expensive, but then they can post up these record profits. You're having us on, and we know that you're having us on.
Energy recorded nearly a $400 million profit. Energy prices went up by 20% in January, and in July they went up by another 30%. That's a 50% increase in energy prices in the last 6 months. How do you fight back?
Become totally energy independent. Electrify your home with renewable energy.
We're out here today. We're installing this heat pump, 10 kilowatt hour solar system.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on from this because it's a bit of an advert, I think. But yeah, listen, I think we all have to start thinking a bit more about how we can sort of distance ourselves from the government. I mean, the issue is solar is quite expensive to fit and it's not the most reliable. But yeah, with the prices going up, we have to sort of figure something else out.
Ofgem have announced that the energy price cap will be £3,549 from October. The previous cap was £1,971, so customers are seeing a hike in their bills of 80%. It is estimated that around 24 million households will be affected this winter by the energy price. Boris Johnson has announced that more help is on the way in September.
Yeah, he's talking about Boris as well. This might be an old video, but this is a good comment here. What's the point of a price of the charge cap if it keeps increasing? You may as well have no price cap at all. I mean, summed up very, very nicely by Jedi Fighter 2013. Yeah, it's almost pointless at this point. If every year you're going to do like a 30% increase, like what are we talking about here, guys?
Next month, we're going to see the price of energy in the UK rise by nearly 54%. This is by far one of the largest increases that the UK public or the British public have had to deal with when it comes to living costs. We'll see the average household bill go from somewhere around £1,200 per year to nearly £2,000. This is going to put at least 10 million British households under the energy poverty line. While this is obviously a catastrophe and things need to be done to avert this crisis, let's talk about why this energy price is increasing to begin with. You see, there's been a lot of political blame where, the Tories are responsible for the price cap or they're not helping enough of the public. But one thing to realise is this problem goes beyond the borders of just the UK. And in this video, we're going to explain why we are seeing this massive demand and surge in energy across the world. And it essentially falls on a few key main areas. The reason for the climbing price of energy is a squeeze on the wholesale gas of prices around the world. And this began to take hold in 2021 and obviously is caused in part by the rapid pace of bounce back of economies from the COVID pandemic. This led to a year of historically low global energy consumption as businesses and traffic came to a standstill. The recovery has seen demand soar accordingly, with further strain placed on global supplies by the bitter winter experienced in the Northern Hemisphere in 2020 and 2021, and by the scorching hot summers experienced in Asia, particularly in China, where demand for air conditioning units to cope with the sticky heat skyrocketed. We also had a relatively windless summer in Europe, and we had droughts in Brazil. This also meant that the amount of renewable energy generated by turbines and hydropower for storage was lower than anticipated.
Yeah, this guy's spot on, Mr. Earth Guy. Never heard of this guy before. Like I said, this is the first time I'm watching these videos with you guys. Yeah, we're a globalized world now. So if something happens across the world, you know, even like Nord Stream blowing up, things like that, that's such a knock-on effect for us. He's spot on, and we're just not in a position where the renewables can pick up the slack when things go a bit wrong. So yeah, this guy's spot on. I'd definitely give him a follow if you're on TikTok.
Adding to that, we have the Russian gas giant Gazprom. While they're still honouring their long-term contractual commitments, they've declined to replenish its storage sites in Europe to the usual extent in order to protect itself against market fluctuations and the gradual closure of the fields in the Netherlands that they're also set in. Another factor coming into play, according to the International Energy Agency, or the IEA, has been the delay to crucial infrastructure repairs because of the COVID pandemic. The COVID-19 lockdowns pushed some maintenance work from 2020 into 2021, which weighed on supply at a time when demand was recovering. And then finally, we have the complicating picture that is still in the works and the growing fear of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. We've already seen Germany block regulatory approval for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as punishment for the aggression from Kremlin. The deputy chair of Russia has sneered comments saying, "Welcome to the brave new world where Europeans are soon going to pay €2 for 1 cubic meter of natural gas." As a result of this storm of geopolitical and meteorological factors, wholesale gas prices have reportedly risen by 250% since January of 2021, and by 70% alone in August, reaching a record price of 450 pence per therm in December. See, there are plenty of problems and plenty of reasons why the energy price cap has risen so much over the last 12 months. And I hope in this video you can see that it's not as cut and straightforward as just blaming one particular party or one particular reason. There are a multitude of factors, and all we can do is brace for the year ahead and try and save money where we can, whether that's with LED light bulbs, using your dishwasher less per week, your washing machine less per week, and only switching lights on when they're needed. If you like this video and you want to see more content like this with the animations and the new flows that I've incorporated into these videos, feel free to hit that like, put some comments in and ask questions, and I'll try and get...
Yeah, give this guy a like. I like those his editing on that. It's nice when someone puts a bit of effort into the videos. A bit unlike me. But he's spot on there, guys. We have to brace for what's coming. It is going to get more expensive. And I think I've beaten this one to death a little bit, so we'll do one more video.
Who's ready to pay $10 a gallon for gasoline? I hope that you raised your hand, because this is very serious and is going to...
The world's not going to survive long if it does hit that. My God.
Soon. Hi, if you're new, my name is Timothy James. I'm a quantitative economist. This will be pretty simple to explain, though. Iran's proposed embargo could...
You know, Timmy is so confident that gas is going to hit $10.
Wow, this took a turn. I actually thought this was Timmy's video. Wow, Mr. Global 2.
That apparently, when he dropped this video, one of the first comments was people tagging me in it. So he immediately blocked me. And to be clear, I've never heard of Timmy. I've never heard of Timmy James. Never heard of him until like yesterday. And I've had a few followers tell me that they had tagged me in the video, and then apparently he spoke about it in a live or something that he blocked me. And by the way, Timmy, all economists are quantitative. That's like, you're an economist. So what little Timmy is saying here is that Iran is going to get all of the Arab nations, basically OPEC, to impose another oil embargo on the United States, just like they did in 1973. And so he's taking and he's drawing a direct line from 1973 to 2023 and basically saying the exact same thing is going to happen if they impose that oil embargo on us. I'm just gonna tell you what would happen if they did do the embargo, because there's no point in going back and forth on whether they will or not, because it's 20.
Never heard of Mr. Global 2 before, but I kind of like how he's. I kind of like his vibes.
And anything can happen. So the first thing you need to know, in 1973, when the OPEC nations imposed an oil embargo on us, 83% of all of our imports was from those OPEC nations. 83%. So we were extremely reliant on OPEC oil. Today, it's about 10%. And today it's about 10%, and we are a net exporter. If you took the amount of oil that we get from OPEC today and you subtracted that number from our total daily inputs, we would still have as much oil as we had last year. Yeah. We're producing 1.4 million barrels a day more than we were in 2022. And we don't even get 1 million barrels a day from OPEC. I think it's about 800.
Yeah, this guy sounds like he knows exactly what he's on about. It's always good when they start crunching the numbers and stuff. Like I said, even if it did get to a position where naturally things could go to a $10 gas, they'd have to do something anyway, because people just couldn't afford that.
1,000. So in addition to us producing 1.4 million barrels a day more than we were last year, there's also another couple 100,000 barrels a day coming in from Venezuela as well. And we could also easily get some more from Canada. So worst case scenario, if OPEC decides to do this, might see gas go back to $4 on a national average. Yeah, not 10, about 4.
Yeah, 10 seems a bit like fear-mongering for me. Plus, it's a nice round number for people to get all this going to that double digit. Yeah, looking in the comments, people kind of seem to think that. So he immediately blocked me. Classic. Okay, guys, right, I'll leave it there today. Do me a favor and leave me a comment. I want to hear your guys' thoughts and feelings on how things are going right now. Let me know who your energy supplier is. And what sort of increase you guys have been looking at from like 21 to 22, 22 to 23. Yeah, I'd love to hear any feedback you've got, and give us a like if you like these videos. There's going to be plenty more coming.